So the Indiana Fever have hired some backroom staff for the team. Obviously, Cheryl Reeve, people that Cheryl Reeve has worked with before. Not Cheryl Reeve, Jesus. Stephanie White has worked with before, and people that they want on the backroom staff. So a lot of the assistant coaches are gone. A lot of the people that have been involved in the Indiana Fever are gone too, and it is Stephanie White looking like she is effectively just picking her own staff, which is fine. Which is honestly fine. It's probably for the best that she is bringing a lot of her people in. But before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are doing Hoopsmas. We are uploading we'll be uploading hopefully 5 videos a day. The goal is, that's the goal anyway, between now and Christmas. And if you guys could subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to hit 40k by then. If we could hit 39.3k by the end of the day, we're probably not, but like that would be insane. So, let's take a look right here. So they add, this is from a couple of days ago, Indiana Fever adds Austin Kelly to coaching staff. Karima Christmas Kelly returns as assistant coach. So, the Fever announced that they've hired Austin Kelly as an assistant coach. In addition, Karima Christmas Kelly returns to the bench under Stephanie White after serving as an assistant coach for the last 2 seasons. So she is still there. She has been brought back for the last couple of years. Austin Kelly most recently served as an assistant coach of the Connecticut Sun under White's leadership, helping guide them to the semi-finals both seasons. Previously, he was the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator for the University of Texas women's team from 2021-2023. During the 21-22 season, they won the Sun Belt tournament and earned a spot in the NCAA tournament. Prior to his time, he spent 2 seasons at Vanderbilt working for White as director of recruiting with the women's basketball team. Kelly also worked in Georgia Tech as graduate assistant and assistant scouting coordinator for the women's basketball team from 2018 to 2019. Kelly graduated from Duke University in 2011 as a 3-year starter at wide receiver for the Blue Devils football program. Wow. Playing 1 season of college basketball at Georgia Southwestern. Breanna Christmas Kelly, an integral member of the 2012 championship team for the Fever, returns to the bench and assistant coach under White. Obviously, they produced back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners. I mean, well, obviously. And I will say this, he, as far as I'm aware, a lot of people have said that he was one of the main offensive coaches. The reason why a lot of people are scared for the guy coming from the Sun, Austin Kelly, the reason why a lot of people are scared for this coach is that he supposedly was the orchestrator of the worst offense in the WNBA. And I'm just putting it out there. Yes, they were a bad offensive team, but it's because they played slow. They played slow, simply put, because they had to. And I mean that. They were not a team that were going to run up and down and beat teams by dropping 100. Actually, they literally did that. I'm not joking. They literally did that to the Fever, but they were a slow, old team. And I think they got the best out of that in the offensive end. Like, it's hard being an offensive coordinator when you've got AT and Bree Jones, who can't shoot at all on the floor, Dejanay, who can barely shoot, and what's her name? Dewana Bonner, who is streaky. Unbelievably streaky. Marina Mabry, who's unbelievably streaky. And Ty Harris, who's fine. So, you're never going to get the... realistically, you're never going to get that many points from a team like that. It doesn't matter. You could literally have Prime, Mighty, and Tony, and they couldn't do anything to help that offense. But the reality is that they were scoring more points than their opponents. They were a defensive team. And if you watch the way they played offense, everything was cutting. There was constant ball movement. They were taking advantage of Alyssa Thomas. They were able to use Alyssa Thomas to her best ability. And obviously, Bree Jones was not the same after coming back. And that's just the reality of the situation, is that the offense for the Connecticut Sun was poor, but it wasn't that poor. It wasn't nearly as poor as you would think. It wasn't like an embarrassingly bad offense. considering the players they had. Like, their bench was like Nelson Adoda coming on, who didn't give them very much. Before the Marina Mabry trade, Rachel Bannon was their best bench player. Mariah Jefferson was barely playing. So it was not an easy thing to be the offensive coach, or to be part of a team trying to make that Connecticut team play great offense, because they don't have it. They don't have a Caitlin Clark surrounded by shooters. They don't have an ultra point guard. They have a bruiser power forward who's a passer playing point guard for them. And look, that's not easy. And again, the team lost Natisha Heidemann coming into this season. So they've lost offensive talent coming into the season. And they still, look, they won 10 games in a row to start the year. Ended the year as the 3rd seed and went to 5 games with a really good Lynx team in the 2nd round. So, genuinely, it is a really, really interesting, not really interesting. It's not a bad hire, especially if Stephanie White's confident in him. It's a good hire. She's brought someone from her last team. There's some continuity with the players being used to one of their assistant coaches, and the coach being used to an assistant coach. So there's continuity in both regards, with the coach and with the player. With the players, they haven't just completely destroyed everything. They've taken some players, they've taken some coaches alongside the head coach, but they've kept some, like, a coach the players are familiar with. And look, there's been success. It's been successful. Stephanie White to the Fever is, I think, going to be one of the better coaching hires. I really like the Sparks. I really like all the modern coaching hires. Even though Stephanie White's not that modern, she's adaptable. If you look at how Stephanie White tried to play at Vanderbilt, she was terrible at Vanderbilt, by the way. If you watch how she played with the Fever in 2015 versus how she played with the Sun afterwards, the Sun were much slower, so she was able to adapt. And that's the thing where it's like, I don't really know what her philosophy is necessarily, but the fact is that she's a coach who will adapt her philosophy to the players and not make the players adapt to their philosophy, which is something that I really like in a coach. I like coaches being able to do both. I like coaches I like it when a coach has like a system and a way they want to play, but they're able to tweak their system to make sure their players can play in the system, and they're not so rigid in it. And I hope that's what Stephanie White is, and it does seem to be what she looks like. So, yeah, it is. It's an interesting choice. And look, I'm happy as long as the Fevers do not have Christy Sides. Literally anything but Christy Sides coaching this team, and I'll be happy. He's not Christy Sides, so look, I'm not going to be upset in any way as long as Christy Sides does not stay in any way close to this team.